Hey, I'm Chris Troy, host of St. Clair County RISA's Moment in History, and I'm here at the original Port Huron, Detroit operations office for the PH&D Railroad. Built in the 1920s, this building served as the main office until 1984 when the rail line was sold to the Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad. Now, to fully understand the history of this building, you have to look back to 1901 when the Port Huron and Southern Railroad Company was formed to construct 3 miles of track from Port Huron to Marysville. Then to expand the line an additional 60 miles in 1917 to run through St. Clair all the way down to Marine City. This line was owned by the Handy brothers of Bay City, Michigan. The Handys were 4 brothers who saw in their minds one continuous rail line that ran from Bay City to Detroit. The only problem was that in 1914, World War I erupted, forcing all rail expansion to stop in order to save raw materials for the war effort. The Handy brothers came up with a plan to invest capital into a sugar processing plant in Marine City. Due to the need for sugar and K rations, the United States government allowed the brothers to continue their line to the new plant. When the war ended in 1918, the world's markets became open, and sugar price plummeted, leaving the Handy brothers with little capital to cover their bills. Along with a few other business losses, the Handys were broke, and soon their assets went into receivership in 1924. In fact, to avoid the shame, 2 brothers committed suicide. Attorney James E. Duffy handled the bankruptcy for the remaining brothers, and in lieu of his fees, agreed to have the brothers sign over the shares to the PH Southern Rail Line. The Duffy family continued to own the line until 1984, when the line was sold. Over those 62 years, the Port Huron Detroit Railroad had clients ranging from St. Clair Rubber Company to Detroit Edison. In 1930, an old rail spur from the Marine City Sugar Plant became the connecting point to the Elginak Transit Company. The trackage of the Port Huron to Detroit Railroad started at Port Huron and went through the cities of Marysville, St. Clair, Belle River, and Marine City, where it ended. Interchanges of freight cars were made with both the Grand Trunk Western and the Chesapeake and Ohio in the Port Huron yard. The Port Huron and Detroit Railroad had about 100 on-line industries at this time, though many were infrequent shippers. The Port Huron and Detroit Railroad owned a freight yard in Port Huron that ran parallel to the south side of the Grand Trunk Western and the Chesapeake, Ohio's track. In 1984, the Port Huron and Detroit Railroad was sold by the Duffy family to the Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad, at that time controlled by CSX Corporation. CSX Corporation Company still owns and operates the line today. As for the original control of the operations building, in 2008, George Duffy, grandson to James E. Duffy, took control of the dilapidated building and began its restoration to be used as a PH&D historic museum. One of the events that's held here yearly is HoboFest, when visitors get a sense of what it was like riding the rails in the 1920s and 30s. For Moment in History Extra, hey, I'm Chris Troy, reminding you all that history, that lives in all of us.